Hey, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Sorry, I'm feeling kind of really, you know how you get really exhausted towards the end of the year, Ron? How you look back on the year that was, and not all the time is it all the good memories of the year that was that flood back to you. And you think, I should have done something better, or I wish that didn't happen to me. Like Christmas becomes a time of regret and renewal. Kind of like a solstice or an equinox. I wonder, can we, as a people, regardless of what country you're living in or language you speak, get these pedophile, psychopath scum out of powerful positions that prevent themselves from ever getting caught? How could we do that? I mean, it'd have to be some kind of a military might, or if it's not a military precise operation, to get these people like in a staged Bin Laden sense of the word. It would have to be mass revolt, mass non-compliance, people's massive gates to their mansions being broken down, and these people being dragged through the streets and having cabbages and cans of beer thrown at them. I don't know. Can there be a peaceful resolution to this? Or is the establishment so corrupted that there really isn't going to be any other option when it comes down to it? They're going to fire first. In fact, they've already fired many shots. But it may get into a hot war at some point, because it's the whole country of the United States and the whole planet, and it's various eclectic countries that are on the line here. If you really think about the connections with the Columbine massacre and everything else that's really going on in the United States today. Is it even possible to get rid of them, Ron? Sometimes I feel hopeless. Like I'm fighting a losing battle here. And just doing it because it's the right thing. Ron, are you there? Seem to have had some kind of disconnection here, unfortunately. AFR, if you could...
Well, no.
Oh, there we are. I now can hear you. You're live.
Am I still live on this?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, I apologize. I just wanted to share one last part of our knowledge that I hope to impart on everyone towards the end of the show so that you can think about this. Now, this actually happened, and it's not the most horrible tragedy, but understand that it was only stopped because it was stopped just before it happened. But on the second anniversary of the 2 days, I'll get this out, 2 days before the 13th anniversary, we had a 13-year-old boy right across the street from the cemetery where we buried some of the Columbine kids at Isaac Newton Middle School, had prepared a bomb to put under the jocks' table to blow the school up. So realize Columbine was supposed to be about a bomb. And in this case, this boy was following as a copycat to the Columbine tragedy, was going to blow the cafeteria up because he was angry at the jocks. So you understand where that young man was misled. Has nothing to do with being angry at the jocks. It has to do with two boys who were raped on a January night. So you understand that children will kill children over what they have been led to believe the Columbine tragedy was about. You have created a huge fan base. Everyone in high school gets pushed and shoved, and when you use that as the motive for a tragedy as Columbine, you've lowered the bar to that type of conduct. And in fact, we have a lot of kids today that seem to think that these two killers at Columbine have reached some kind of a godlike status. I'm afraid that if we don't get this straightened out, my worst, the nightmare that I expect to happen if we don't is going to happen. And they'll consider this 20 beautiful children that we lost today as being small compared to what's going to happen when a bomb goes off in a lunchroom. So believe me, it's very important, please. And as long as we have Columbine copycats, we have to deal with this. And thank you for just let me share that with you, because that's how important this is.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. And you know what's interesting is that you have to be a perennial student. At all times you've got to be learning about these things that go on. You have to somehow cope with it, though. How do you cope with it?
Not well. No, I'll have to say, I don't like carrying this kind of information on my shoulders, and I wish everybody else would do something with it. In fact, I could see where it could actually change things. Just the knowledge that we have as to the people that we've gone to with this, you understand. Having never found one person responsible enough. Now, can I say we run into people all the time that aren't in the system. Like we have forensic psychologist agrees with us. She's doing her dissertation on it. Or we'll have the attorney that was representing Mark. Or we'll have the webmasters and the people that work with us. Oh, yeah, we're all in this together. And we all agree that Mark shouldn't be where he is. But in this case, I'm just hoping you can see through the persecution of Mark Taylor that we are quite correct in what we're doing, and it's time to release the young man. Our hopes are that if we can get him released, maybe we can find help for him in New Zealand. So I would appreciate, especially the beautiful people of New Zealand to kind of cover him, at least in their prayers, that he's definitely needing some help. And you'll see on his website what he was doing when they abducted and drugged him illegally.
Now,
so, it's not the kind of story that should be coming out of the United States of America, but he's being held a political prisoner, okay?
Now, we've got a caller on the line here. She called in earlier, but didn't take it just then. Heather from Georgia, you're on the air.
You know what? I was totally unprepared for you to pick up on the call right now. I just started listening again, so I apologize. I'm kind of walking into the conversation blind. But I just wanted to just say a prayer for the mothers out in Connecticut, and basically just say, when is enough enough? They're staging children's murder now to get a point across. You know what I'm talking about, Vinny? Sorry.
Yeah. I've got this idea, how people shy away from this type of subject in particular. Whenever I've tried to tell people about the huge amount of kids that go missing and the setups and what happens particularly to children in this world, those are the things like I've lost relationships over that. Like those people never speak to me again because it's so traumatic to even entertain it for a second before shutting it down and then closing their eyes and then hoping it just doesn't happen to them and then letting it happen to everybody else instead.
Well, enough is enough. You know what? It's not my child, but let me tell you something. On behalf of every mother out there who knows how I feel, this is enough. You guys, let's stop it. I don't know what to do. I mean, I don't know what to do anymore, but, to wake people up, but I'm sick of it. So I just kind of wanted to talk to somebody who knew where I was coming from, because in my real life, it's not like I can talk to anybody about this. I have to dial all the way across New Zealand to talk to you. So anyway, I'll let you go. I'm so sorry to interrupt.
Heather, if I may, there's a really sad situation that the closest person you can talk to about the scumbaggery that's happening to children is in New Zealand.
I know. Yeah, it sucks, but so I'll let you go, Vinny. I'm sorry to interrupt your guest. I'll talk to you soon. Bye, buddy.
All right, bye, Heather. Thank you very much for that. Ron, do you laugh much? Not much these days, I bet. Is there anything actually that's been quite amusing in any way, shape, or form? I know that would be kind of a weird question about these things that you've discovered. Anything actually ever make you laugh?
You know what? If I were to bury myself into this 24/7, I would probably be out of my mind. But no, I carry on. I'm a businessman. I have a restaurant that I run. I've got a real life. And in this case, I'd really like to disconnect from all of this, but obviously we have to get the truth out before I can ever go on, turn a page. I've got, I'm 63, so I'm looking towards retirement. I don't want to be doing this. I want to relax. So, knowing that Mark is being a political prisoner, I'm not standing for it, obviously, and I'm doing everything I can to get every bit of truth out, and hope that the listening public understands that this isn't just about Mark. It's about all the families that lost children at Columbine. We have Richard Castaldo right now, for instance. He was in the wheelchair in the Bowling for Columbine movie along with Mark. And in this case, his house is being foreclosed on. Here they paralyzed him from the waist down. Now he's being thrown out of his house. So, all the Columbine victims have a story, and mostly they're tragic, like Mark and Donna's. You have to realize they've been persecuted. They've been on the run. They've actually had to leave the state, and then they get captured in Arizona. If you look at their whole story, that it's been a tragedy since the tragedy happened. And then we've learned all the people that were manipulating Mark, Michael Moore being one of them, Ken Salazar being another, and then all the problems that he runs into when he works with a Dr. Tracy because he's exposing the psychotropic drugs as being dangerous. He spoke in front of the FDA twice. Just take a moment to realize that this young man was a hero in our eyes when they took him, okay? He was saying all the right things. He was wanting to be a preacher. Looked like he was on the path to being somebody, if you understand. And to see what they've done to him, realizing the tragedy that you can see with your own two eyes of what they've done to that young man's life, hopefully you'll see that just in what they've done to him, that we must be carrying that very powerful information for them to have taken their time to do such a horrible thing. Mm. And to this day, it's still being done because Donna would simply like to have her son released so she can go on, she and her son can go on with their life. And they won't release him. Just say a prayer for him. I wish that she had been on the program tonight, but I apologize for the... in fact, we thought we were on for the 16th instead of the 14th. We apologize for that.
No, it doesn't matter. Ron, if you'd like to say a prayer for him on air right now, please do.
All right. Dear Lord, we just ask that you have your will in this, dear Lord, and you preserve all the lives that all these tragedies have brought horrific, terrible, terrible suffering to these families. And just as you suffer with us tonight in our knowledge of what had just happened here in Connecticut, dear Lord, just ask that this evil presence just be abolished from the world, and that we can just open our eyes, protect our children, and make sure that these vile acts are a thing of the past. And dear Lord, just let your truth come forward, and with your truth and your love and your concern, all of these tragedies can at least be dealt with in a timely manner, and to where we can understand what needs to be done to stop them, dear Lord. I just ask in Jesus' name that you do this for us, that you come with your mighty power into this, dear Lord, and have your way. Amen.
Amen, man. You feel tired, man?
I just don't know where God is in this, to be quite honest with you. I'm just so... can I say, I'm feeling like it will take his presence. I mean, that's what it will take. But I would have to say the Christians are letting us down. Wake up, Christians. You know that it's not just an easy ride when you decide that you're going to do what God asked you to do. What do you think he has us Christian soldiers out there for? Why do you think he wants us to put on armor? There's a fight going on. Excuse me, I'm just on my soapbox. I'm angry, okay?
Hey, being angry is what needs to be done, essentially. You know what anger is, mate? It's just depression that has motivation behind it.
Well, it comes with experience. Even my local church here, when I'm telling them how I learned that there was a sexual predator at the high school, I'm telling them that I, didn't have any money because I had to spend it all on lawyers to protect myself from false accusations and stuff. And gee, I'd sure like to help. And then when I'm telling them of all the things that I've been trying to do in his community, where he's the shepherd, he walks away saying, well, good luck. So I'm like, get back here. What do you mean good luck? This is your job, not mine. I'm not a school teacher. I'm not your priest. I'm nobody but a person who has decided that I'm going to get to the truth. And when the people in the community that stand up claiming that they're the shepherds don't stand,
when they don't stand up, it makes you real angry and it makes you want to depose that shepherd. We'll be right back, ladies and gentlemen.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to my very special guest, Ron Aigner. And speaking of being a businessman, when do you get any downtime, Ron? Because it seems like you're running a restaurant, you're running around, and in your spare time, you're trying to save people's kids. When do you get any? Do you get any downtime? Do you get any you time?
I'm not understanding you. Can I give you what?
Do you get any time to yourself to
actually, this takes up more time.
Hello?
It kind of takes over even my own survival. Can I tell you that? I've got a lot of projects I can do that I could produce a better income if I could only take time to do them. And with my back injury, I ain't looking towards doing them anytime soon anyway. But I have to spend my time getting this done. This is my belief that unless this is done, I haven't accomplished what I need to be doing. Okay, the prioritizing, I think, is correct. Excuse me if I sound like I've gone off to where I'm become, what would you say, obsessed. Well, I guess my knowledge of this makes me want to be obsessed because I simply have knowledge here that when it gets out, it's going to shake up a few people, and I think the people need to be shaken up. So I'm hoping that people will understand this. Just go to Mark Taylor's website, and you'll see that he's not the only child that's involved. We're fortunate enough to have taken on some strong support in the name of, if you know Brandon Robb, who was a Marine, recently who was abducted. And they tried to medicate him, but his mother, Kathleen Thomas, stood up for him. So in trying to abduct a fellow Marine, we have a lot of good Marines that didn't think that was appropriate. And in that, we have the support of P. Santilli. So I simply would like to kind of like plug P. Santilli for having stepped up for Mark Taylor. He sees the tragedy that's taking place. You don't have to guess that it's taking place. Just simply see what they've done to Mark, and you'll understand that he is not only Donna's son, but he's an American son. And he was doing the right thing when they did this to him. And we can't let that happen to anyone. And in this case, it apparently exposes that they've been doing this thousands of times over to other people. And it's not the way our country should be run, with them simply just grabbing people and throwing them into mental institutions and drugging them. So it opens up an entirely different battle line, I guess, to where, they're not just fighting it with guns, but they're fighting this with medications. And obviously, I think these medications that they're prescribing are, in fact, causing some of these mass shootings that we're witnessing. As we were talking about earlier, it takes away their ability to have compassion. So I guess it becomes a drug war. Who knows?
Yeah. Well, I think they declared the drug war on the wrong side. They should have declared it on the pharmaceutical companies. They should have declared the drug war on the FDA. But instead, the people
And that,
make lots of money off of dangerous drugs, right?
Just on that simple fact that Mark spoke in front of the FDA against the drugs, he should qualify for some kind of a federal protection. You know what I'm saying? I just don't understand why they threw him out with yesterday's trash, because he was trying to expose these dangerous drugs. You'll see what I'm talking about when you go to the Release Mark Taylor Facebook. And then, obviously, when we learned about the shooter having been raped, good gosh, I mean, that's some bad information. People don't like you when they're military or where they're wearing police uniforms, or they swear their allegiance to the corruptness of the government. If they simply realize that they owe us, the taxpayer, the respect of the Constitution, then we would have our questions answered. But for some reason, we can't get our government to give us those First Amendment rights that, obviously I'm talking freely now, but what I'm saying is we've been held off from the media stream totally with this information, and I don't think they should have that kind of power. It just goes to show you what the mainstream media is all about, because we've actually got several different tapes of some of the mainstream popular media talking about what we've discussed tonight, and they've never done anything with it. You understand? They go so far, and then somebody shuts them up, or somebody loses a job or something, and then it never goes any further.
Hello?
Yeah, you know Jonathan Elenoff, I believe. He's one of them. Julia Hayden, who's in that one documentary, we have her questioning the story. When the Pat Sullivan case came out, people were so shocked that could actually happen, that cops could have sex with children. It takes a while for people to catch up with this, you know.
Yeah, because they love the cops.
We gave it another shot at it
to protect
expose
them.
the Columbine tragedy. Yes.
Well, we got a caller on the line here. I want to take him before we run out of time. 314 area code. Caller, you're on the air.
Hello. Hey,
hello,
yeah, I was wondering. Hello. Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead.
I was wanting to comment on what you were saying about the mainstream media, and they are absolutely all about keeping people, absolutely distracted with things that really don't matter, like gay marriage and things like that. Just keep the mind distracted. The three main things that go on in this country is working, being entertained, and consuming. That's the three main functions. And no matter where you go, people are obsessed with that. And people say just stay distracted with that.
Yeah, I completely agree. The distraction, essentially, I feel, is the main purpose of the mainstream media. Not to bring the important issues to your attention, but to distract you from them with unimportant things.
Exactly.
Well, remember, they were talking about Marilyn Manson was supposed to be the reason why these two boys went off. And, in fact, I would like to tell Marilyn Manson, hey, guys, guess what? It wasn't you. It was a couple pedophile cops, Isn't that kind of interesting that he should know that? Because he got attacked over being an influence on the Columbine. There was really nothing to that. You understand? They were coming up with the Nazi connection, and no, they didn't even read any of Hitler's books.
Are you talking about Charles Manson?
No, Marilyn Manson.
Marilyn Manson.
Stars in the Dark Show.
Okay.
Yeah, he was in the Bowling for Columbine movie. You probably want to do a little brushing up. There's a lot of this stuff that's on the Internet. You can research it rather easily. There's one. Now, what we do know, too, is the guy that wrote the Columbine book, that's just simply named Columbine. His name's David Cullen, and he's an FBI publicist. And he's also the one that did the Columbine final report, which is a video you can watch. Right towards the end of that, when they're asking why the two boys did this, they talk about that most interesting written motive in the yearbook. where it says, "My wrath for January's incident will be godlike." Well, yeah, and then he goes on to settle it out as if he agrees now with the FBI's findings that these were two boys with minds that were, one was a psychopath and one was a depressive.
Actually, I'm sorry to interrupt, but
yes,
have you ever heard of the CIA and its mind control programs?
In the what?
In its mind control programs, the CIA
MK
program.
Oh yeah,
Huh?
okay, yeah. They're really studying that heavily because of the theater shooter right now.
Yeah, I know. He had no recollection of what he was doing.
Well,
and they're using these events to strict up gun rights.
Yeah. A guy coming out of the prison that was interviewed by this Pendergrass, who we deal with, stated that he was claiming that the therapist was an evil woman who programmed him to do it. Okay, so that's already been, everybody's talking MK Ultra, particularly about that case. But what you need to know is these two Columbine shooters had been, and we couldn't document 15 contacts that the sheriff's officers had with those two boys. And if you know how it went, they denied that they even know who they were. And then we learned, obviously, that they knew who they were immediately. Remember, there was a 3.5-hour time schedule. They had actually had the doors of the control van locked because they were trying to figure out what to do.
Yeah, it comes down to that counter-personality concept, that someone can just absolutely say something to you and trigger that personality, and the personality that you have goes away, and that born ultimatum killer just comes right out of you, and you're trained and you know what to do, and then a few hours later you're back to yourself and you're like, what the hell happened?
Well, that sounds like what
but
the guy was trying to
were the Columbine boys, like, were their parents in the CIA and they were actually in mind control programs, or is that just a theory?
Well, it depends on who you want to hear. I have heard, and there is a connection to the military because Harris's father came out of Plattsville, and he was also working for a military contractor, Jefferson, which means he might have been working CIA or something and got his check through another military contractor. Strangely, both parents have been very silent. And in this article I mentioned earlier, they were asking, we're hanging on every little piece of information we can get from the shooters' mothers. Well, I forgot to mention that we have over 16,636 pages that we got from Attorney John DeCamp's office because they raided his office for him and they didn't get it all. And out of those pages, we've found a number of pages that were under seal, including some of the depositions of the shooter's parents. So here, the media here.
I'm sorry, Ron. The show's over. Thank you very much. ColumbineFamilyRequest.org.
No matter where you live, globalism affects you. Did you know that the Vinnie Eastwood Show has more subscribers than New Zealand Herald TV and is New Zealand's most popular YouTube news channel, where warm-hearted humour and a list of awesome guests talk about crucial issues which the mainstream media ignore? A show where you, the listener, can phone up with questions, comments and suggestions of guests. Vinnie is building a hub to connect truthers with raw information they need to become active. He can help you gain further skills such as website building, producing audio and video, and creating revenue streams in your own multimedia environment. Because Vinnie supports such a wide range of people in the truth movement, he is not government or corporate backed and relies entirely on your donations. Give now, give generously, or subscribe for $10 a month for access to ad-free video archives. Just visit thevinnieeastwoodshow.com and click donate.
If you take an active interest in maintaining the optimum health and well-being of yourself and your family, the New Zealand Journal of Natural Medicine is the magazine you've been waiting for. Having taken Australia and New Zealand by storm, the New Zealand Journal of Natural Medicine is now available in the UK and Europe. Visit www.nznaturalmed.co.uk or call 01626 337 531 to order your copy now.
Do you realise every day we are being put under constant stress from wireless radiation? What's worse is that you don't even know that it's happening. It puts as much stress on our body as if we had a constant viral infection, draining our energy and sapping our strength, or just making us irritable and fatigued. These wireless fields are being emitted from computers, microwaves, mobile phones, power lines, and any electrical appliance. Now there is a solution. A group of research engineers in New Zealand have come up with an active shielding device that shields you from wireless radiation at a cellular level. Blue Shield comes in 3 models: a household, portable, and USB that plugs into any computer. The great thing about Blue Shield is it is very affordable and guaranteed to last. A one-off purchase will see you being protected for years to come. Visit AmericanFreedomRadio.com and click on the Blue Shield banner. Blue Shield, brought to you by the VinnieEastwoodShow.com.
Get these pedophile, psychopath scum out of powerful positions that prevent themselves from ever getting caught. How could we do that? I mean, it'd have to be some kind of a military might, or if it's not a military precise operation, to get these people like in a staged Bin Laden sense of the word. It would have to be mass revolt, mass non-compliance, people's massive gates to their mansions being broken down, and these people being dragged through the streets and having cabbages and cans of beer thrown at them. I don't know. Can there be a peaceful... Oi! Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Sorry if I'm feeling kind of really, You know how you get really exhausted towards the end of the year, Ron? How you look back on the year that was, and not all the time is it all the good memories of the year that was that flood back to you. And you think, I should have done something better, or I wish that didn't happen to me. Like Christmas becomes a time of regret and renewal, kind of like a solstice or an equinox. I wonder, can we, as a people, regardless of what country you're living in or language you speak, resolution to this? Or is the establishment so corrupted that there really isn't going to be any other option when it comes down to it? They're going to fire first. In fact, they've already fired many shots. But it may get into a hot war at some point, because it's the whole country of the United States and the whole planet, and it's various eclectic countries that are on the line here. If you really think about the connections with the Columbine massacre and everything else that's really going on in the United States today. Is it even possible to get rid of them, Ron? Sometimes I feel hopeless. Like I'm fighting a losing battle here. And just doing it because it's the right thing.
2 days, I'll get this out, 2 days before the 13th anniversary, we had a 13-year-old boy right across the street from the cemetery where we buried some of the Columbine kids at Isaac Newton Middle School, had prepared a bomb to put under the jock's table to blow the school up. So realize Columbine was supposed to be about a bomb. And in this case, this boy was following as a copycat to the Columbine tragedy, was going to blow the cafeteria up because he was angry at the jocks. So you understand where that young man was misled. Has nothing to do with being angry at the jocks. It has to do...
Ron, are you there? Seem to have had some kind of disconnection here, unfortunately. AFR, if you could...
Well, no.
Oh, there we are. I now can hear
sorry.
you. You're live.
Am I still live on this?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, I apologize. I just wanted to share one last part of our knowledge that I hope to impart on everyone towards the end of the show so that you can think about this. Now, this actually happened, and it's not the most horrible tragedy, but understand that it was only stopped because it was stopped just before it happened. But on the second anniversary of the second